And good evening, everyone. Thank you very much all for being here this evening on this Friday. It's 8 p.m. here in Poland, and I have my guest, Rafael Aita. I believe I've said that correctly, Rafael?
Yes, it's okay.
No, thank you very much. And I'm really grateful that you are here with me today to have this discussion with me. I genuinely enjoyed our meeting and our first discussion. I was very impressed with your knowledge of history and philosophy and where we had these common interests. And yeah, would you mind if I just do a quick introduction of you, and then I'll leave you to do the rest of the introduction?
Of course. Go ahead.
Okay, so hello guys, good to see you all. Yeah, so we've got Tom, we've got Gina, we've got Nicodemus, Yaya, Terry, very welcome. We've got Mick, Bruce, and others. Thanks all for being here. So, guys, Rafael Aita has a successful YouTube channel of his own. Please check the description. I've put links to all of his social media. He's an author of more than one book. Maybe one day I should get around to writing a book. That's something I will ask him about. And he discusses the history of Peru, which is where he is based. And also, one of his interests is the history of the Catholic Church during the Spanish conquest, and he loves to address misconceptions about history. And he's had this love of history since he was a teenager, and he's wanted to address things that weren't taught in school. And also, he's become very well known. Actually, let me just switch over to the main screen so that I can. Um, so let me see. Um, let me share. Give me 1 second. I haven't used StreamYard in a very long time. So that one, I'm going to share my entire screen, and boom. And this is Rafael Aita, very good looking man, as you can see. I'm very lucky to have this charming man as my guest. And he is also the persona of Capitan Peru. So, yeah, Rafael, over to you now that I've done a brief introduction. And welcome, Villainous. Good to see you. Over to you, Rafael.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, as you have said, I have social network channels in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where I talk about history. Although I am an engineer, I studied engineering some years ago. I graduated as an engineer, had an MBA, but I also realized that the story that I have been taught in school was not accurate. No, and I realized this when I began writing novels because I love to write even since school. And in one moment, I began to write historical novels, and so I needed to do research in bibliography books written by historians, much more than I was reached on the university or on the school. And then
Okay.
I realized that it was a completely different history that I was taught, where it was the history that I was taught was full of black legends against Spain, against the church. It was very common to hear, for example, that thousands or millions of natives were judged or executed by the Inquisition, by the Spaniard Inquisition. And then I found that there was no natural, no native that was judged by Inquisition because they were protected by the Indian laws. So it was
Okay.
a great surprise for me. I think this was the first post that I did in Facebook, where I said, "Hey, do you remember that everybody has heard about the millions of Indians that died because of the church and the Spanish Inquisition? Look, there was no one that were judged by the Inquisition because they were protected." They were considered that were in the process of conversion, so they only a Christian fully uh, uh, let's say with all the knowledge of Christianity can be judged by Inquisition. So the Indians didn't apply to that. And then I began to do more research, and then well, also this information began to spread. The channel became bigger until today, where I began to write more books about this. I became very interested in separating the political ideology that is in our history than the real facts. So after that, I also realized that in reality, we do not do history. We're doing philosophy. The history that we are used to read or to teach is, in
Mhm.
fact, according to different philosophical schools or
Oh,
philosophical authors
a
that
certain
has
agenda or a certain ideology would
different
influence how we
different
present
approaches.
history.
No, I don't know if we should call it agenda or or simply the approach of the author. For example, um, uh, it's very useful. It's very common to forget that one. How can I call it? One thing that Marx did is to become humanities into science.
Yes,
No,
sociology was the first, shall we say, fully
sociology, yes,
socialist science that
and
made its way into university as a description, actually, of
anthropology.
history.
No,
In fact, it's
so
a form of theology. It's a form of description of the world and the world's origins. So it's sociology is a form of theology, but a
and
scientific theology.
and and that's why many sociologists or anthropologists are very near to the left. But what
Yeah,
other
it was an
option do they?
atheist form. It was an atheist form of
Yes,
science. Yes.
it was an atheist form of science. So that's the materialistic historical materialismo histórico, historic materialist,
Yeah, please
historic
say a few
materialism.
words in Spanish. I have many Spanish
Yes,
members
I
in my
think
audience, so feel free to.
yes, some alguno, palabras técnicas, some technical words escape to my translation. So, historical materialism is a Marxist method to study history, and it's approved by the academy, by the universities. So, it's part of our curriculum. And what option do they have? No, so that's the reason that philosophy is so important to history, and also to know which philosophy school is behind the history that we're reading.
Those are very interesting points. I have a question. You said that there are certain things that were taught and certain things that were not taught. Can you give me an indication, or for the audience, what are the kinds of things that were withheld by the historians? Critical data that seemed to maybe sway information in one direction or another. What kind of bias did you find, and what difference did it make when you fill in these blanks that were left out?
Yes, yes, of course. When we hear or we read about American history or the conquest history, we are used to learn that when the Spaniards came, they killed every governor. Maybe the Aztecs or the Incas, they were eradicated. They were exterminated, no,
Mhm.
by the Spaniards. But then you go to museums and you find some pictures like the one that I'm sharing at this moment.
Hold on.
And and I think
You
it's
okay? Yeah, let me
at
share
the
that. Yes, I'm just going to do that now. There we go.
bottom. No?
There it is. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you can see it over there. You can find this picture. This is an Inca, and this is an Inca that is holding a cross in his right hand. And of course,
Wow.
in Peru, many of us has heard that the last Inca was Atahualpa, and he was killed by Pizarro, and that
Yes.
ended the lineage of the Incas. But then you go to the museum and you find this guy that is dressed as an Inca, has the name of the Inca, and has a cross in his right hand, and you say, where did this guy came from?
Wow.
And
I
you
am shocked.
Yes, of
Crazy.
course. No, and you find that the Incas were not killed by the Spaniards. In fact, they much of them survived the conquest, and they received titles, and they have privileges, and they dressed as nobles. For example, this other guy that also I'm sharing
Okay.
at this moment.
Takes a moment to share up on my side.
Yes,
So once you share, I'll. Okay, there we go.
this is also an Inca. No, he has the Inca crown over his head. He was named Chihuantopa Inca, and he's dressed as a noble. He had a lot of power, a lot of privilege. So you find that there is somebody must be lying, no? Or the picture or my history teacher, and it's more probable that my history teacher lied to all of us. Because the
That is
picture is from the 17th century, and it's not falsified, and it's a fact that's over there, and nobody talks about them. We have 300 years of Inca history that nobody talks about us, and not only in Peru, also in the United States. For example, there's also some facts that are not well known, especially with the Western movies. Because when we watch a Western movie, we see the Indians with feathers and talking like, and
Yep, remember those days? I did that when I was a kid. Cowboys and
of
Indians.
course,
Yes.
yes, and they are portrayed as savages that were living in the middle of nothing. But then, when we read history, we realize that those Indians, in fact, lived for 300 years in the vice kingdom of New Spain. They were Catholics, they were baptized, and they
Wow.
spoke Spanish. And that's the example of Indian Geronimo. Recently, they have found the baptism act of Indian Geronimo. He was baptized as a Catholic,
Are you
and he's
serious?
yes, of course.
Oh my golly, that is.
Geronimo was baptized as Catholic, and he
Oh my
spoke
gosh.
Spanish. That's something that nobody says, nobody knows. And
Wow.
we think that Geronimo is a savage from the wastelands that lived in the middle of nothing, and talked a language like, oh, and he was a pagan that he worshipped the sun or a totem or whatever. And no, he was baptized as Catholic and spoke Spanish.
Wow. We get our history. Okay, lots of modern people, and me as a child, obviously, we got our history from the movies. And the movies, obviously, Hollywood isn't known exactly for, shall we say, factual accuracy, which is scary because we have this idea of history that comes from entertainment that is false. That is, wow. I had no idea.
Yes, yes, of course, and well, the movies help a lot, but we in the schools nobody tells a different story, and nobody go deeper on to question the movies, or to say, okay, that this isn't like that, and this is the real story. So there we see that there is a lot of black legend about 300 years of Spanish Empire, that we think that it was fully slavery and exploitation, and
Wow.
it wasn't like that.
So we need to reinvestigate and rewrite history.
I am sharing also uh,
Okay.
my screen. I only found a Spanish
Yeah.
website
Pedro
about.
Jr. says, and thank you. I had the Dirty Windshield series. Thank you very much for joining up. I really appreciate that. And Pedro says these history teachers always trying to make Christian figures of history not Christians, like the founding fathers. And yes, I need to do something on the founding fathers. I put together a series. I need to discuss how so Christian they were, and in the culture as well, which has been erased from history. But that is true. Let me show this. Yeah. El indio
Also,
Jerónimo era católico y hablaba español. So hopefully I didn't butcher that. Wow.
no, so we have here. Well, maybe you can find it on in English, but there are a lot of articles about the true story of Geronimo.
Wow. I am shocked. I did not know that. And because I had this preconceived idea of reality, obviously I never thought to go and have another look. I assumed I knew. Wow. So,
Then we can also explore about the Hispanic background of the United States, no?
can we
Because
pause there for a moment? I am interested. Can we just pause on that? So just remind me the Spanish background of the United States. I just want to ask you one or two questions from the article about you that
okay,
I read,
okay,
just so we
yes,
can learn more about you, your purpose, your mission. You can speak about that, and then I want to get back to this. But I did not know, and this if the history of South America is false, and I know from my studies on the Spanish Inquisition in Europe
hmm,
that is
yes,
false. I mean, that is like 99% false. it just it is frightening how much we've been given false, biased, shall we say, also anti-Christian history.
of course,
Um,
yes.
so let me share my screen again. Um, let me go back to sharing. Yeah, I'm still figuring out. I've only used this once for myself, but I have not used it with a guest.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So this is Capitan Peru, dashing figure, real, Um, so yeah, so you began. So you've explained this that you investigated the details that are not taught in schools, and that you obviously want to inspire the youth to love the history, to know the history, and to know the truth. Is that correct?
Yes, 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 of course.
And you are known on social networks. You love to speak about history, as we are witnessing right now, right? With little known but very interesting passages from history. Tell us about your book, The Secret of the Lost Inca.
Yes,
What made you write this, and what is it about, so that the audience can learn more? And I'll try and find the book right now.
yes. This book is also a historical novel. It's half fantasy and half real history, because it's in the present. They are looking for the inheritors of the Inca Empire. No, so they want to crown again the the heir of the Inca, but they find that this heir, this descendant of the Incas, is also descendant of Francisco Pizarro, conqueror of Peru, because also a very little known fact is that Francisco Pizarro married the sister of Atahualpa, Atahualpa's sister. So and
Right. That.
this is the union of the two empires, because uh, the conqueror of Peru had a child with the daughter of Huayna Capac, of the Inca, and this child was the legitimate successor uh, to Spain and also to the Incas, because it has the inheritance of both. So it also tells a story that it is not known, that is this fusion in blood, because the in fact in the Incas and the Aztecs and the Indian nobility remained as nobles through the empire, the Spanish Empire. They were given noble titles, that we have these titles, also the shields until today. For example, I'm going to share some of them. Here we can see in the here we can see, no, in the picture, these were the blasón, escudo. Ayúdame con la traducción. I don't know if it is a shield, no, but this is the nobility that were given to the Indians, to the noble Indians, to the Incas, to the Aztecs by Spain. So they were recognized as
Okay.
nobility. Um, this is a very difficult concept to grasp, because coat of arms. Thank you, Gina. The coat of
Yeah.
arms.
Okay. Coat of arms. Great. Hero. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
This is a very difficult concept to grasp, because um, England did not did that. So we are not used to to watch Indian nobility. But in the Spanish America, they were considered as nobles. They lived like nobles, not like in North America, that they didn't have any title, and they were not integrated to the 13 colonies. In the Spanish America, they were integrated. They mixed their blood in mixed marriages. They were recognized as nobles, and in fact, most of the and they were not slaves, because slavery was forbidden
Hmm.
in the Spanish America for naturals. And that's why in the United States, or where in the British colonies, the slaves the slaves that were that ran out from the British colonies
Yeah.
go to Florida to be free
Okay.
men. And today in Florida, we have a celebration. I'm going to show. I think that it's Port Moses, where they do a celebration from these free slaves that arrived to Florida, to Spanish Florida,
Right.
to become free men. And that's another difference between the Spanish Empire and the British Empire.
Salvador Martin says the great great grandson of Geronimo is Alfonso Borrego and is very
Sí,
well
Alfonso
spoken of
Borrego.
as Hispanic
Yes,
Creole.
I know him. He's famous now, and he talks about this.
Okay, that I did not know. Is there anything that is of interest about Alfonso Borrego that we should know, that you would know?
He defends the true story of his ancestor, and he's the one that is communicating to everybody that his ancestor was Catholic and spoke Spanish,
Wow.
and and that the Indians lived much more comfortable during the Spanish Empire in New Mexico than in the 19th century when the States arrived. And
Wow.
that's why we have this picture. Okay, maybe I can share it now.
Sure.
Okay, this one that also explains a lot.
Yeah. It just takes a moment before it appears on my side, so I'm just waiting for it.
Yes. Okay,
Can you zoom in a little bit?
this is Spanish America
Oh, wow.
for at least 200 years, and that's why United States has an Spanish background. Until today, we found the people in Texas, in Florida, in California that are very rooted to the Spanish language,
And
and
also, that means, therefore, the Catholic tradition, I would
and
assume.
they follow the Catholic tradition. Well, until today in Texas, they are very conservative about
Mm.
that. And
Because this is
uh-huh,
interesting because you're always told of the Puritan tradition and not about the Catholic tradition in America, which is very another one of these little gaps in history.
and they have more years of Catholic tradition than Puritan tradition.
Oh, wow. And the
This is the
Puritans, as far as I can discern, are somewhat Gnostic.
Yes, this is the map of New Spain.
Okay.
So Mexicans say that they never crossed the border. The border crossed them because they were established in those territories from 16th century until 18th, 19th century, where the border moved over them. And that's why most of those territories are very Hispanic, Catholic, conservative.
Wow. This is history I did not know. I wasn't even aware of a hint of this.
And, and, and,
How
and,
does this escape us?
and you see, that's why I say that there's a lot of history that is not shown to us, that is hidden from us.
Wow. I mean, I talk about history on my channel. Um, and I show people how certain facts are left out, and therefore you get a false perspective on history. Like, I did a series of 8 talks on Darwin. I spent months researching Charles Darwin, and you learn about how Darwin had these beautiful butterfly collections, and and that's your story of Darwin. But once you actually learn about Darwin, how Darwin loved to murder small animals, he took his hammer and he killed thousands of birds by hitting them in the head. He used to take rocks and throw animals to death. He used to just kill them because he enjoyed it. And you learn this. He sounded like a crazy psychopath, and you learn about his idea, how he loved death, and you start to learn dark things about this man that are very disturbing, in fact. And these facts are just completely forgotten. And so you learn a view of history that, and then you realize that the people who adopted his ideas were like Hitler and the Nazis. You learn that World War One was a Darwinian war fought for Darwinian reasons. They believed that murdering all these people would bring a better world. And so history has been so manipulated that we really don't have the full perspective. And also Darwinian science was anti-Christian, and all of these movements seem to want to wipe out the traces of Christianity. They all seem to oppose that.
This is another example of what I was talking about. They are African Americans in Florida that they are commemorating their arrival to Florida. And you'll find that they are carrying a flag that is the same that I have in my t shirt.
Yeah.
That's the cross of St. Andrew. And
Okay.
that was the flag from the Spanish Empire, and that's the flag of Florida today. Well, a little transformed, a little changed, but it is the basis of the Florida flag.
I need to look up the flag of Florida suddenly.
Yes, okay. We're going
Let's look up the
to.
flag of actually. Hold on, yeah. Since hold on, I've got this here. I'll the flag of Florida. Let's have a look. And wow, there's your flag, the one you just showed
Yes,
us.
it's this one.
Nothing to do with Christian Spain at all. Clearly, no connection.
You see, because
Flag of the
this
Kingdom of Florida. The kingdom. Oh my
the
gosh.
kingdom of Florida, of course, because the Spanish Empire was the empire of kingdoms, the kingdom of Peru, the kingdom of Castilla, the kingdom of Naples, the kingdom of Sicilia, the kingdom of New Spain, Mexico, and those all of them were kingdoms, and that's why they have their nobility, their local native nobility.
Wow, this is a complete revision of history by adding pieces that we were not taught.
But the information, the facts are there. We have it in the flags, we have it in our museums, in our pictures, we have it everywhere, but
Wow.
it has been hidden to speak a total different history.
Wow, that is so shocking to me. I have one. There's a couple of questions I have in this. Just two more
Mhm.
questions that I have from here. Um, and thank you, Yaya, for the donation. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Um, I've had many of my subscribers ask me to translate some of what I do into Spanish. And just for the subscribers, I've had some really great support the last 3 months to the channel financially, and it's allowed me to obviously produce a great deal more content. I've had to teach myself how to do content faster. I'm using AI to do these voices, but I'm paying for professional voiceovers by the best AI software in the world for voices. And thank you to my subscribers and members for that. But also, I've discovered now that I can apparently do translations into other languages. This does cost, but I will try to do some of this. And but just saying thank you to the members. I will look at options, and I will look at the budgets required for some of this. I can develop this in other languages. Spanish seems to be the most requested language, and then of course I also get Malaysian, oddly enough, which is the most populous Muslim country. So I will look at that, but I think Spanish is something I can start with to translate some of that content. Um, yeah. Okay. So back to where we were, because this is very
Mhm.
interesting, and perhaps also Capitan Peru. Would be great if yeah, if I can point people at your YouTube as well, and just have people get information in Spanish. Which is a very very common language in the world, to learn more about this. So
Six
here's a
hundred
question.
million, 600 million of Spanish
That's more
speaking.
people than are needed to move the heaviest piano or to move a house. So yeah,
Yes.
I think that's a good number. So this question was, what do you think are the biggest mistakes when teaching history? So you said teaching history is disconnected from the global context, and this is a mistake. For example, it is necessary to understand the independence of Latin American countries. Let me just scroll over here. Okay, I have to make it smaller again. It is necessary to understand the independence of Latin American countries in light of what was happening in Europe previously, and of Napoleon's intervention in Spain, and history must be taught as a real story, not rotely. Can you tell me more about this? What you meant by this?
Yes, that when we're taught about the independence in Peru, in Mexico, in Colombia, in Argentina, they told us that we uh, rebelled against the great oppressive empire and we achieved our liberty. But in fact, when you look the beginning of the 19th century period in Spain, and I'm talking about 1808 and 1814, That period is called the Spanish Independence War.
Okay.
And because they, yeah, flag of Ireland also.
Wow,
And
wow, wow.
and look for the first flag of Peru.
So this is a modified version of it here.
Yes, that's the first flag of Peru, and it's also inspired in the cross of Saint Andrew. And because it was very difficult to manufacture in that time, they changed it to the bars, but the red and white remained, and that's why the flag of Peru is red and white.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you. Just
So,
someone mentioned the flag.
okay,
Tell me more about this.
Napoleon in 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain. So everybody was fighting Napoleon to go out Spain, and Napoleon um, installed, no, I don't know if it's the right word, that his brother as a king, crowned his brother Jose Bonaparte as the king of Spain, and the Spaniards rejected the French king. So in our countries, in Latin America or Spanish America, um, all the people said, if in Spain they are rejecting the French king, we should also do the same. And they began to do autonomous governments uh, because they considered that in Spain there was no king. And
Oh
those
wow.
governments began into the independence movements. And that's why in Mexico, the first how can I say, for el primer grito de independencia, first yell of independence, I don't know, first shouting of independence, first proclamation, let's say. The first
Okay, a proclamation.
proclamation,
Yeah,
it's, I
right.
think it sounds
I think
better
in
than the
Spanish as
first.
well, there are Spanish viewers that would be fine with a little bit of Spanish as well.
Yes, the first proclamation of independence was made by a priest, Cur Hidalgo, uh, that is today he's the father of Mexico, like George Washington from the US.
Okay.
El Cura Hidalgo, the priest Hidalgo, is from Mexico. And he finished his speech saying, "Long live Ferdinand the Seventh." That was the king, the truly king of Spain.
Okay.
So if you're going to independence from Spain, why you finish your speech saying, "Long live Ferdinand the Seventh, king of Spain"? Because that movement began rejecting the French king.
All right. Okay, this is something I also did not realize. And when you say history must be taught as a real story, not rotely, tell me more about your thoughts there.
Because we are taught and adulterated, manipulated, tergiversated, I don't know how to say it, history. We are taught very romanticized in the, I think, cartoonly romanticized, where we divide always, you can see that we're always dividing history between a fight between good and evil. No? Oh, the British were the evil, and George Washington was good, and the Spaniards were the evil, and the liberators were good,
Right.
and and that's a very simplistic, cartoonish way of studying history, but
Mhm.
also very Hegelian, no? Thesis, antithesis.
You're right. Hegelian was also not quite a Gnostic, but he was a Hermetic.
And
So, which is
Hegel was the basis for Marx.
Marx.
And
Yeah,
Marx
Hegel was the basis
also.
for Marx, and Marx was, well, Marx was atheistic, satanic, as well as Gnostic, which is a crazy mixture.
And we have his famous quote that social classes fight is the motor for history, and we learn history like that.
But that
Between
is the Marxist view. That is actually the
it's the
Marxist.
Marxist view, it's the Marxist view,
Yeah.
oppressor and oppressed.
That
No,
he spoke of dialectical materialism, and the motor of history was the clash. I mean,
yes,
this is taken from Marx. That is
it's taken
insanity. That
from that. So the Spaniards were the oppressors, the evil, the evil empire. Now we are going to liberate from that evil oppression.
wow,
So that's a very Marxist dichotomic Hegelian view that
wow.
that it's not real, and that's why I said that history is analyzed, is taught from that point of view.
Yeah. Thank you, Matthew Velasquez. I'm really grateful. Thank you very much for the support. Very, very kind of you. Wow. I am, I know about this, but just to hear it from someone else and to learn more about it is it's disturbing to see that this has this toxic ideology has infected schools, has infected universities, and has affected our knowledge of the world. It's
And
really frightening.
in fact, what we are never told is that we, as Spanish Americans, Hispanic Americans, or even the people that are hearing from Texas, California, Florida, New Mexico, they were never told that we were part of the first globalization.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I recommend everybody to watch a documental that is called Spain, the First Globalization. And
Spain, the
they
first globalization, a documentary.
yes, a documentary, yes. And they explain that the Spanish Empire was the first globalization with one language, one coin, and that ruled the world from Alaska to Patagonia and Philippines to Spain. So if you had the Real de Ocho, no, Real of Eight, maybe I don't know, the Spanish coin Real de Ocho. If you had that money and you spoke Spanish, you can do commerce from Alaska to the land of fire, all through the continent, and from Philippines in Asia, Polynesia, and Madrid in Europe. It was the first globalization. And that coin was done also in our countries because Peru, Lima, Cusco, Mexico were places where that coin was made. So it was like the dollar can be printed by Mexico, by Peru, by Philippines, by Madrid. Imagine their economies. In fact, the inspiration of the dollar is that coin.
Oh wow. I have read something like, okay, very, it's crazy that it's like we have to go back to school to relearn all of this history.
I don't know if you have you know the history. Where does the symbol of the dollar come? No, the
But it's
S
from the Dutch
with
word
the
taler or the German word
that's
taler.
the word, the tallard.
Yeah, the
The
taler.
tallard, that it was the peso. That was how the real or peso de ocho was called. But the symbol, the S with the two bars,
Ah,
where does the
okay.
symbol come from? That's another information that I have here, that it has the inspiration in the Spanish coin.
Yeah. Just
So I
briefly on this documentary, it says it addresses the least known aspects of the historical Hispanic monarchy known as the Spanish Empire. And it says here it features the presence of 39 historians, and all of which try the always uphill battle of debunking the Spanish Black Legend. And that Black
Yes.
Legend, just by the way, was very first created by Protestants in Germany, England, and Holland, amongst others.
Netherlands. Yes, of course.
Yes, the Netherlands was big in that.
William of Orange and Theodore of Bry were the ones that used the
Yeah,
print to
printing press.
yes.
Yeah,
Here,
when I get around to the Spanish Inquisition, the collusion between these empires to smear and lie is shocking. I mean, the political corruption that went into creating this nation, this Europe-wide propaganda is shocking. But these are Christians lying through their teeth. Uh, Pedro Jr. asks, "What is the Black Legend?" I'll share that. I'll share your screen in a moment. What is the Black
yes,
Legend?
Black Legend is manipulating uh, or lying or cutting parts of history only to have a bad image of an empire or a group of people.
Yeah, specifically though, it relates, at least in terms of the Spanish Inquisition, it relates to
Yes.
the idea that the Catholic Church in Spain murdered 50 million people during the Spanish Inquisition. 50 million. And I mean, there probably weren't even 50 million people in Europe, in all of Europe at the time, but somehow the Catholic Church killed them all. And so the Black Legend was designed to conjure up images of torture, of confessions extracted under extreme torture, limbs being amputated, people being bored into by saws and nails, and it was designed to demonize the Catholic Church, and it was extremely effective. Okay, let me just take that away. So you've got
Yes,
this
that's
image.
the origin of the symbol. They are the bars that
Ah,
come from the symbol of Spain until today. You see the Hercules bar, the Hercules columns. The
the
Her-
real Carlos the third coin. So this is this coin. It says, well, what does it say on the coin?
it says
Traque
ultraque
unum,
unum.
traque unum.
Ultraque ultraque unum means we both are one. That means that both sides of the hemisphere, both continents are one empire. Ultraque unum.
Ah, so there was no sort of slave and
Oh,
master dichotomy.
slavery was prohibited, was forbidden, was banned for because of the laws of Indians, the Indian laws.
Okay. And there's also another word in the pillars, ultra,
Plus ultra,
plus
yes,
ultra.
plus ultra come from a Roman uh, myth that says non plus ultra from the Hercules columns. It means don't go more, don't go beyond. No, non plus ultra means don't go beyond this place. Don't go beyond the Hercules columns because it's unknown territory. When Christopher Columbus arrived to America, they changed that phrase for plus ultra. That means go beyond the Hercules columns. We are were the ones that go beyond
Beyond.
this place. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting. Actually, I was watching a talk recently on history, and it spoke of the idea of there be dragons on all these ancient maps. There
Yes.
be dragons, there be monsters. And this was on maps. And actually, the historian I was reading was saying that this actually was something that was very common because people were very nationalistic, and anything beyond their borders, outside of their realm, was monstrous, was evil, and there was that
Yes.
us versus them idea. Whereas this is a very different view of the world.
Yes.
Actually, this is
And
in a complete contradiction or
and
contrast.
and uh, and it is based on the Catholic view, and I am going to explain why.
Interesting.
Because Catholic means universal.
Ah, yes.
The word Catholic
You know what?
means
You know what communism means?
Yes,
Universal.
yes,
So the parallel is there for a reason.
yes,
Communist, it's also universal.
yes, of course. Catholic means universal, and we received the mandato. How can I say mandato? The order. We received the order to spread the good news until the end of the world. We have
Right.
that in the gospel. No, go and tell the good news until the end of the world.
And love thy neighbor. Don't see him as a monster.
Yes, and that's why Apostle James is buried in the end of the world, literally, because in Spain, the uh, far extreme of Spain, that is Compostela. No, it's the farthest place in the known world. There
Yes.
is
I haven't been there. I've been about 300 kilometers from there, a few hours, couple of hours drive from there. Yes.
there's a
Um,
place.
I've been on portions of in Spain on the walk, Santiago de Compostela, the route of St.
Uh-huh.
James. I've
Yes.
I've been on portions of that. I've been to. It's
Look
beautiful. It's amazing.
look at what is commenting Chiqui Shaky, I think. Santiago de Compostela, no, the one previous.
Where?
Santiago de Compostela near Finisterre.
Okay.
Okay? Finisterre means end of the land. Finis, end,
Oh,
fin,
Finisterre.
Finisterre, where the land ends. Because
Ah,
that was the place where there was nothing beyond. And they
right.
went to that place to bury Apostle James, to go
Ah,
until the last place of the earth, because
okay,
that
hold on.
was the
I need to go
commandment.
find this now. So Santiago de Compostela.
Yes, it
Um,
is at the far end from Spain.
okay, so here I am. I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Okay, so that is Santiago. That is Spain. So yes, of course.
Yes,
Then of course you had
that's at the
the Voyages of Discovery by 1492. Come on, what's his name? Columbus. Colomb.
Christopher,
Christopher Colomb. Yeah,
Christopher,
yeah. I
Cristobal
have
Colon.
been
Yes,
as far as up here. I've been to this section of Spain here.
yes,
But this is wow. I mean, it's amazing how many the the route and how many pilgrims actually walk that route. How many people you see
and
walking it and going.
as Rusty says, the Apostle Thomas went to the other side to India. So they were like all over the world, that know the world. So when they discovered another continent, it was like now we have to go there to preach the gospel over there, and that's why Catholicism is not national. It's not about our community or only for us. It's to spread it, go over the world and talk about it.
Right. Yeah, but that was the Great Commission.
That was the Great Commission. And
That was
that's
the Great
why
Commission. Yeah.
the Spanish Empire had the phrase plus ultra, más allá, go beyond.
Ah, okay, makes sense now. That's a whole culture.
Yes,
That's been. Are you sure this wasn't a Baptist thing? Are you sure it wasn't something by the non-denominational churches that were doing this? Are you sure it's Catholic?
it's Catholic because it was done by the English,
Because
by
I'm pretty
the
sure it
Spanish
was
Empire.
Jesus and the 12 Calvinists in the first century. That's what I hear.
Mhm.
Are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't Jesus and the 12 Calvinists or Jesus and the 12 Baptists in the first century? Because I'm kind of hearing stories like that. Because Jesus says, I want to make you Calvinists. Didn't you hear that story?
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah, I did a talk on that recently. I called it originally Jesus and the 12 Calvinists, but I changed it to Jesus and the 12 Gnostics. because what I've been discovering is that in all of the claims from the 16th to the 18th century in Europe to the apostolicity of the Protestant movement, every single one of the Protestant denominations, or technically they call themselves branches or denominations, but in fact they are schisms. The correct term is these are
Yes,
schisms. Every single one of these groups identifies themselves as apostolic by directly going through major heresies, directly through anti-Christian heresies, which is an insane choice. And the Baptist churches are the most egregious of those that make the claims. But they
yes.
go through the Albigensians, the Cathars, and other crazy groups that are
No, yeah,
not remotely Christian, and it's insane.
no.
What happens.
There are only very few churches that has the apostolic succession. The Orthodox, for example, the Orthodox, they do have the apostolic succession by Andrew. That was the brother of Peter. So the Catholic and Orthodox are brothers, even between their apostles, even
Right.
between their heads.
Yeah. There's that whole debate of whether Christopher Columbus was a Spanish citizen or a Portuguese citizen. Was he from Portugal or was he from Spain? Because I've seen there's this whole debate about
In fact, most well approved theory is that he was from Genova.
from so Portuguese.
No, Italy.
Italy.
Italy. Genova, yes.
Okay. So why is there such a question about this?
There's a lot of mystery between uh, Christopher Columbus' early days. We know very little. That is something also very weird about a person that lived in the 15th century, because we know much more about people that lived even before Christ than Christopher
Yeah.
Columbus
Well, I mean,
himself.
look, for instance, the fact that he was alive is a mystery because we know the Catholic Church killed everybody. They killed 50 million people. How was anyone alive at that time? That's the Spanish Inquisition left everyone dead.
Yes, of course. Even they killed more people that existed.
Yes, correct.
Well,
Correct. So
they say that the Spanish Inquisition killed like 10 million witches in Europe.
I
So
know.
all Europe was every woman in Europe was a witch.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, even very famous atheists I've seen them make that claim, and it's you're like, okay, guys, I mean, seriously, go back to school. I have a question here before we go on to the topic, because I think we've answered the question about North America. There was this question which I was interested in, also on your interview. We should all know our history. We do not know much about the Incas, what they did or how they organized themselves to live. What we have is hollow pride. We should fill that void with the knowledge of our past and our rich culture. Can you tell me more about that? And then I'll leave
Yes,
it open to you again to continue where you want.
yes, we have the knowledge that we have about pre-Hispanic times, the Incas, the Aztecs, is more based on myths or ideology than real facts. And this was corroborated also by historians that told me that 90% of our history is still underground. We have not excavated or discovered it. So uh, the worst part of attaching to a myth is that we do not research for what really happened.
Mhm.
And maybe when we look for what really happened, we're going to be really, really surprised. For example, I have another images or pictures around here that I don't want to miss, and that will be uh, very enlightening for all of us. Here, for example, we have, and
Still
I'm
not seeing it
sharing.
yet. It hasn't come up on my side yet. Okay, there it comes. Yeah.
Okay, this is painted in Cusco. We have the Virgin Mary,
Just zoom in a
and
little bit.
at her feet of Virgin Mary, at her feet, we have Catholic Incas.
Oh wow. I have seen such pictures before and I never made the connection because it's so odd. Yes.
Yes, yes, we don't know about that. And today we're told that the Incas worshipped the land, the Mother Earth, Pachamama, or whatever you can call it. But we're never told that the Incas converted to Christianism and worshipped Jesus, that they also have been portrayed in in Corpus Christi, for example. No, we're going to
So that's a
see.
good question. Why has the Pope emphasized the Pachamama and not the Catholic tradition
I don't
of South
understand
America? Why
anything
not
of
that instead and talk about the rich historical Catholic
I
tradition?
would
I mean,
love to see, for example, this picture okay.
okay, I'll share that in a second. Let's go. Yep. Yeah, I don't know
This
how
is
this is the first time I'm using this software for an interview. I normally
no
use
problem.
OBS, and I have no idea how to give you auto sharing rights. I have
No,
no
there's
idea
no
how to
way
do it.
to there's no way to auto share. I have
Yeah.
you have to put the image. Well, this is Corpus Christi. You see,
All right.
this is a Corpus Christi procession, and at the side you have Indians that are attending to the procession, and look at which flag do they have? The cross of Saint Andrew.
Ah, interesting.
And you have also the saints, no, Saint Christopher and Virgin Mary, and there's a tradition in Cusco until today that the Corpus Christi is beautiful in Cusco. If I'm going to share also some
I have a question.
images.
Villainous
Yes.
says here, the Pope Pachamama controversy is fake. It's an Inca statue of Mary. Is that true?
Ah, okay. About that, it's not an Inca statue. Maybe it could be a Masonic statue, because this synod was the Masonic synod. So well, but as I said, also the Masonians didn't had anything to do with Pachamama. So, but I would love to see this image that has been forget. No, we don't.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was
this history that
lost
you're
in time.
showing us, I mean, this is incredible. It's really eye-opening. And
For
why don't we know this? And why is this not emphasized? I would love to see this history emphasized.
I would love to see this image instead of Pachamama or whatever it is. This is the child Jesus dressed as an Inca.
Oh, wow.
And you see they dressed as the previous
Can you zoom in a little bit?
pictures
Because
of
many
they.
people are on their cell phones, so it helps to zoom in so they can see it on their phones. I have
Yes,
two
yes.
big screens, which helps me a lot, but I also have my phone usually in front of me, and I try to see how it looks on my phone. So I make all the text as big as I can. I make all the pictures as big as I can. But that's great. That's a bit too big, but wow. You can zoom out it a little bit, but that's amazing.
This crown
Yeah.
with the red on the
Tassels,
front.
yeah, on the front, yeah.
Yes, that's the Inca crown. So he was crowned with the crown of the Incas. It is called Mascapaicha.
Okay, so the
And
Incas regarded him also as Jesus. I mean, he was part of their
yes,
tradition then.
of
Wow.
course, of course.
Wow. I didn't know. I didn't. Well, I'm not Catholic, but all the same, I didn't know any of this.
Most Peruvians didn't know any of this, so I
Wow.
can't blame you, and that's why I say that we should know better our history, but with facts, not with ideology or politics.
And, and thank you again, Matthew Velasquez. I'm really grateful. I'm going to be using these funds as small point. I know that everyone's been saying they would love for me to read these narrations for these articles that I've created. But it is really time consuming and very difficult to edit when you have to narrate, edit, and you know you've got to cut out breathing voices and dogs barking and motorbikes and sirens and kitchen noises. It's so much easier to just put it into a high quality AI. So I mean, notice I've published something like 59 videos in the last 30 days. I mean, that's a lot of content. I've published hours and hours, which I could never do if I was doing it manually. Um, so I'm just trying to get out. I have a backlog of content I've researched, and I just want to get it out. And this is the easiest. And if I'm going to try and do Spanish versions, then I'm going to need to have software that will do this. So I will try and take these funds and apply it to that task and try and identify videos that would be good for a Spanish audience and put that out. So these are things and I appreciate the support for that because I'm using tools that cost money. I'm spending hundreds of dollars a year right now on subscriptions. As you know, you've got to pay for Office, you've got to pay for this, pay for that, pay for this, pay for that. Editing software, you've got to pay for subscriptions to everything these days. So I do appreciate it. Thank you. But to Dirty Windshield, to Yaya and Matthew Velasquez, thank you very much. I'm super grateful. Thank you. So yeah, back to you, Capitan Peru.
Yes, I want to take two comments over here. One of
Sure, sure,
them
please.
is saying, notice Inca culture is still. Oh, I will begin with that. I have to say that maybe of the traditional Inca culture, there were the most dangerous and savage of ancient New World civilizations. It was the contrary. The Incas banned, forbid cannibalism because they saw it as something
Wow.
very savage, and they also restrained human sacrifices. They had a very sophisticated thinking, and that's why Inca Garcilaso de la Vega wrote in his chronicles the Incas prepared the path for Christianism, exactly like the pagan Rome prepared the path for the arrival of Christianism.
Okay, why didn't I know this? What Nicodemus is saying here, I thought the same thing. Everybody thinks the same thing. I mean, it's just how have we learned this false history? I mean, look, certainly there would have been some degree of these things, clearly, but this has been overhyped. And what I always find within the history is that the Christian aspect, the civilizing aspect of Christian doctrine is always undermined, hidden, and distorted or forgotten. And it's
Yes,
just constant. You know?
yes. Oh, the documentary. I don't know where it is with subtitles. Sorry. I don't know if you can activate subtitles or of. I'm going to ask the director because I have
You
his
know him.
contact. Yes, I know the director.
Wow.
Because I'm okay. I'm going to give you a premium news. Uh, when the director contact me because he wants to do the second part.
Congratulations. Nice.
The second part is called Hispanoamerica, and it has been filmed in Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Mexico, and Texas.
Mm,
And it will have a chapter from the Spanish US.
very interesting. Okay, very. Do you think he would mind if I if I generated a transcript into English or even maybe dubbed it into English, do you think he would mind?
I'm going to tell him.
Because I can probably try and do it with software. It will probably cost some money, but I believe it might be possible for me to do a very good English translation of the Spanish. I can try, and then maybe I can put that on my channel for people to watch or something.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, we're back.
yeah. Oh, you disappeared.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was saying I
I,
can probably create a dub or transcript in English, and maybe
I'm
you think you would mind if we did that?
I'm going to tell him, but I'm sure he will have no problem.
Because I'm trying to do history now. I'm trying to do history and to show people that there's a different view of history, and I'm very detailed with my sources. I provide my sources where I can. I give them copies in PDF or as documents, and I'm showing the reasons why I have the views that I have based on the evidence that I've provided and what history has left out. And I think we need to reclaim our history. And this is great. I would love to be able to help. I mean, South America also needs to recover its history, just like Europe needs to recover. I don't want to keep you longer than you
Yes.
have to. Do you need to go soon?
No, I want to also talk about one more comment.
Okay. Thank you,
That
Derek.
is,
Much appreciated.
it said
One.
that noticed Inca culture is still there, but
Let me
they're
find
now
it.
Christian.
Notice Inca culture. Sorry.
Yes, it's just above the super sticker.
Um, which hold on, super sticker. Ah, there we go. Yeah, from Villainous.
Okay, and I want to share images of Corpus Christi procession in Cusco.
Okay. And thank you again, Derek Sizemore. I'm very grateful. We'll get back to you. Just keep following the channel, and I'll update you as soon as I hear back from Rafael about that.
You can see Corpus Christi is massive. There's a lot of people with, oh, I think, okay, a lot of people in the procession. The square is full, and there are a lot of saints, and there's a great devotion. And so, yes, it's true.
This is Lima, right?
No, Cusco,
Cusco.
Cusco,
Sorry, I wasn't
the
listening.
capital of the Incas,
Ah, okay. Yes, yes, yes.
capital of the Inca Empire.
Ah, of
You
course, it says
see?
on the screen. It says Cusco. What was I thinking? I should have just checked. Yeah.
So, yes, their descendants are exist and are Catholic, and they have a lot of devotion in their festivities. So that comment is very true. Incas and their descendants, they live until today, and they are deeply devoted Christians.
Okay. Well, nice. I went to Spain. I went to what's that city? It's east of Toledo. I went to Toledo, and it was amazing. I went to the cathedral. It is an incredible piece of
Yes.
architecture.
Oof.
It is
Yes.
just, and the city on a hill. It is just amazing.
It's
And
beautiful.
the cathedral. I mean, I need to go back. I just to do a tour. It was an incredible experience. I mean, the history, the just the feeling of being in that place.
No,
That's kind of similar to what I saw there. It's just yeah.
Toledo is like going to a Middle Age town with all the castles and the swords and
Yeah.
Toledan iron. No,
Yeah.
it's
You've been
very
there?
well known. Yeah, I have been in Toledo, and uh, for example, I am looking that there's a person commenting that is called Dragon Daenerys. I suppose it's a Game of Thrones fan, and I will tell him that
Where?
the
Where?
Valyrian iron is inspired on Toledan iron.
Ah, okay. Yes.
Yes,
Yes, actually, you're right. The Toledo steel with
yes,
that fancy. I mean,
yes.
I couldn't I couldn't
It's
buy one. It was quite expensive in euros.
It's Toledan steel.
But when you
Yes,
see the Toledo steel, they've got that fancy sort of like I don't know the black lines running through the steel. It looks pretty cool.
the
I should
best
maybe try and
steel in the
find
world.
that. Let me try and find something because I thought of buying something. Toledo steel. Hold on. Let me see if I can find a picture. Here we go. I'm just going to share this quickly. There we go. So you get this. This is Toledo steel,
Yes.
but you get this kind of effect. This You get this kind of effect here. It's just amazing.
Yes.
But also, yeah, you get this. It's like I don't know. This isn't exactly what I mean. Toledo steel from Toledo. Hold on,
The
knives
Toledo
from
steel swords. No, knives, no, swords.
swords. Okay, because when I was there, I was looking at swords. Okay, we're gonna do swords because I was looking at knives and they had this. Just incredible to look at. I mean, they cost a small fortune.
Yes, that was all beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, but that little effect through the steel, this black, this black sort of
Yes,
wavy line. It is a. I'm not seeing it here. But it was amazing.
yes.
I have photos
The
of it
best
somewhere,
steel in the world. Yes.
but yeah, okay, so yeah, so yeah, there's this hollow pride. Tell me more about this hollow pride idea, and what do you think we should have rather than hollow pride?
Yes, hollow pride is like an empty pride without substance. No, we're proud about a myth or a legend or an ideology that was created, but it is unsubstantial. When we have a lot of motives to be really, really proud of our history, our ancient that history that is full of empires, and part of it has been the Spanish Empire. And I am going to add that maybe that's not the correct name, Spanish Empire. The correct name
Mhm.
will be Catholic Empire
Ah,
because the kings received the title of Catholic king, like Isabel the Catholic and Fernando the Catholic kings. So it was the Catholic Empire that has
okay,
been erased from history.
wow, that is actually wow, that is a very powerful point, and it has been erased from history. The What you have now is the Black Legend instead.
Instead. Yes.
And thank you again, Derek. It is a lot of work to, as I'm sure Capitan Peru can tell us, it's a huge amount of work to research, to double check, to edit. I mean, man, I sit with 100 pages and I've got to turn it into PowerPoint slides of maybe, you start off with 500 pages and you've got to turn it into 50 slides. You understand? You have to throw away
Yes.
95% of the material and still retain some coherence. You've got to check it and you've got to turn a pile of words into some to summarize. And it's a lot of effort. I'm working
It's
on
a
so
lot.
many
Yes.
things. And to try to be accurate and make no mistakes. I don't know if it's possible to make no mistakes, but to be what's the word, to be intellectually honest and neutral as much as possible. Sure, I have a bias. Everyone knows that because I'm very public about it, but I have a perspective. But I'm trying to be factual as possible, and it's really hard work to do this. And I have other things I want to finish, but I will do the Spanish Inquisition probably next year. But I have a pile of research that is going to upset all the right people. Yes, Rafael, back to you.
No, and you will have a lot more material if you research about the history of the Catholic Empire in the US. And you will find that everything connects.
Yeah,
And
well, we didn't know about this. I think everyone on the stream is completely shocked. We have just under 60 people, I think, right now. Um, I should have maybe advertised this. The thing is, remember we didn't really decide what the topic was. So, guys, just so you know, we weren't clear on the topic. We were just, I thought we were
we're
going to do something completely
talking and
different as a
talking and talking.
discussion. So we ended up doing something we didn't plan. So we're actually, I mean, it's gone very well, but we're doing a completely different topic than what I was intending to do. So, so yeah. Um, yeah, so we should have maybe been clearer, but hopefully, would you be willing to do this again, Rafael?
Yes, of course. I will love to.
Yeah, I mean, this is very. I mean, I am so surprised, and it fits in with everything else that I found. But this is all so much is new to me. So much is. I mean, why do you think people would want to hide the Christian nature of civilization?
Well, because they are anti-civilization. And there are a lot of examples about this. Well, we can see that today in our post-modern society, but you can see it also in the society today. For example, when there were the riots, no, the protests, and everything about this in the U.S., one of the statues that was rioted was from San Junipero of Serra.
Okay,
That was the saint that announced the gospel in North America, and he was very. He had a lot of charity with the Indians. He helped a lot of Indians, but today his statue was vandalized. I don't know why.
okay,
That person is literally a saint. He devoted his life to God and to help the Indians, but his statue was vandalized. When you have the statue of other people, for example, Custer, that killed a lot of Indians, and
mhm.
nobody touched him, and they preferred to vandalize the statue of San Junipero of Serra.
Okay, that's wow. Yeah. Uh, there was a question that came in. I just said, I don't know if this does this make any sense to you from Markomuris. I'm not sure if that's a serious question or not. It means nothing to me.
Okay, this okay. It says what's up, Peru? I don't know what is Suardi,
Yeah, neither do I. So, okay, please rephrase
but
that or try
Peru
again.
was a kingdom, the kingdom of Peru.
Peru.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, no, I know about the California missions. I'm aware of that. I've taken the train once along the coastline of California for like 6 hours or something. I did a very long train ride, and there's so many Spanish missions on the west coast of America along the
Yes,
coastline.
the California missions. You can look for it on Google, and you can see the statue of Saint Junipero Serra with inscriptions that says racist, a person that devoted his life to help and to guard the Indians. Which
Yeah, I'm just trying to
explanation
bring
do
him up
you
here. San Junipero of Serra. Okay, that's the statue. Hold on, let me just share this
like? In
at the
his
stage. I'm going to share
statue,
mine quickly, and then I'll share yours in a
his
moment.
okay,
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing yours now. Yeah.
no murderer. He never
Wow.
killed a person in his life.
That
He
is
protected the Indians.
this is in Los Angeles. I mean, come on, of course.
Yes,
I
come
mean, you're talking
on.
about woke central.
No, you see, in all his studies, he's protecting an Indian because
Oh
he
wow.
devoted his life to protect the Indians, and he has inscriptions like racist, murderer, things with nonsense. So how
Yeah.
can you explain this? And the
Wow.
real murderers, like Custer, and they were not touched. Look at this,
Yeah. I know, shocking. Shocking.
beheaded.
It's anti-Christian. I mean, it's very, very much. And
It's
people have been fed a
anti-Christian.
false view of Christianity. They don't realize its civilizing influence and how it changed the world. There's this question from Derek. Do you think the Ottoman Empire occupation of Spain is a major reason for a lot of the lies? Islam was fomenting revolutions, weren't they? I mean, certainly in Eastern Europe, they seem to have a hand that has not been acknowledged fully by historians. It's known, but it's not something. I mean, they were very much instrumental as a hand behind the Protestant Revolution. They were funding, they
Yes,
were arming, they were training, they were
yes,
colluding with the Protestants, especially in Eastern Europe, and also they were creating these schisms like the Unitarian Church, which is like a vague Chrislam. It's like changing Christianity to be more Islamic, pushing it in that direction. They were certainly behind some of those things.
yes, and well, also French Revolution, I think, has a huge part of the blame.
Yeah, I covered the French Revolution in detail. I've done a very detailed. That
Yes,
was a disgusting part of history, a really shocking part of history, and atheists need to own that as an atheist genocide, as the true disgusting genocidal and occult movement that
yes,
that it was.
and look for the massacre of La Vendée.
The massacre of.
La Vendée,
Oh yes, no, I covered that. I did the
yes,
Vendée. I covered that in detail.
La Vendée. Okay,
Yeah, I covered that in detail. I went through the one historian that
terrible.
really came. Yeah, no, I went through that. It was the descriptions, the historical descriptions from soldiers of the time of the murders and the just the depravity, how they treated women and babies, and just I mean, it was rivaled anything that the Russians or the Nazis did. It was shocking, and it was a precursor to the mindset and how it was actually that the atheist movement then was an anti-Christian movement. It was, in fact, it had the same directive as Islam: join us or die.
And the goddess reason was enthroned in Notre Dame.
Yep, and the stories, yeah. So, yeah,
Oh, the Cristero War also in
I don't
Mexico.
know that, but
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. We've gone about 90 minutes. I don't want to go too long. I try not to go too
okay,
long on my
yes,
channel.
we can talk for
Yeah, I know
two
because we had
hours
a
more.
different discussion
Yes,
privately, a different topic, and I thought that, but that's another discussion we can also have. And I think history is something that we both acknowledge is critical. An understanding of history provides an understanding of reality, and we've been given a false view of Infinite Reach Ministries. Well, thank you very much for subscribing to
thank
the
you.
channel. I hope I don't. I tend to be very confrontational. I do tend to be controversial. I tend to be blunt, and I hope that doesn't offend too many people. But I'm just dealing with facts and I'm putting them out, and I follow where the evidence goes. And I hope not to upset people, but Jesus actually upset a lot of people. That's why they killed him. So so yeah,
Yes, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Capitan Peru, in YouTube, in Facebook, in Instagram, also in TikTok recently.
yeah. Actually, yeah. So, guys, if you check the description, I have put links to a bio of Rafael, and I've put links to all of his social media. So please check in the description for that. It's all in the description box. The whole description box is dedicated to the history and story of Rafael. So you can see that there. He is on Facebook. He's on YouTube. He's Capitan Peru, and on Instagram he's Capitan Peruano. Actually, let me just share my screen so you can see that.
Mhm.
Um, so as you can see here, I've got a really long write up of him, and you can see all of his social media links that are here. So I've got this very long write up, and then of course close that, and I've got all of his social media links here. Yeah. So Rafael, so tell us where people can find you and what they can learn from you.
Yes, well, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok as Capitan Peru. And I will talk much more about the topics that we're talking about in this program about the Spanish Empire, the Catholic Empire, about the real history, about, well, Inquisition, conquest, our Hispanic Catholic roots that has been forgotten since so much time. So you don't want if you want to learn more about that, well, subscribe, join, and hope I see you there.
Yeah, and you do your channel in Spanish, correct?
Yes, my channel is in Spanish, So if you speak Spanish, you will feel much more comfort. I think that YouTube has the option to have English subtitles, but
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
will be
use
much more
subtitles for most of
comfortable
my
with.
videos. Um, but I will certainly investigate. And now that I have the funding, I can look at doing the dubbing because I've got a service that is not cheap, but it does very professional. I'm impressed with the quality of the voices. You with these, I think you can't tell the difference. And I want to start to maybe do some Spanish dubbing and experiment. The technology is only getting better right now. So, and I'm able to at least get through the backlog of written content. People will be surprised how much written material I have. Hundreds, hundreds of pages of written material that I finally, because the AI allows me to do this, I can just edit it, get it out, and just publish. So, because there's so many things I want to get out, so many ideas I want to explore, and I can finally do this because now I have the funding and I have the technology to do it that I could never do on my own. It's just too difficult. Yeah. So, what is your next project before we go? So, what's your next project? What can people look forward to from you? And I mean, I'll be. I'd love to set a date with you, and we'll advertise it like a week in advance at least. Do another talk. But what are you currently busy with? What's your
Well,
next project?
yes, I'm writing books. I have a couple books that are already written but still not published. I hope that in one moment I can publish my books in the US. So if there's somebody interested in publishing about the
Oh, you just froze up there. You just broke up there. Capitan Peru, Rafael. Guys, looks like Rafael has.
okay, yeah,
Oh,
we're
you're
back.
back. You're
Yes,
just back. Yeah, you were saying that you'd
yes.
love to just go back to if someone can help you publish your book. Just please repeat that because you
Yes,
disappeared there.
I have already published in Peru. I have published in Spain, and if there's somebody interested about publishing this history in the US, well, contact me, and I will be very glad to do it.
I know someone who is a Catholic based in Canada. He has a YouTube channel, and I know there's these arguments amongst Catholics, but all that aside, I try to be on good terms with people where I can. But he has published several successful books. He once had the Catholic and religious bestseller on Amazon, I believe. And he has said to me that should I write, and everyone tells me I need to write books. Everybody tells me this because I've put out so much material on different topics. But he said he can help me with self-publishing on Amazon and other places because he's been successful at this. As I said, like he had the religious bestseller, so I could put you in touch with him, and he can maybe advise you how he does it because he's been
That
successful.
would be that would be great. Yes.
Yeah, I'll put you in touch with him. I'm actually have a call with him. I'm doing a show with him on Wednesday, on the 15th. Actually, I'm doing a talk with him. So I will chat to him beforehand, and so next week I will have a talk with him and then put you guys in touch um, about how he can maybe advise you and help you. He's very busy because that's his income and stuff. So I'll have you two talk, and he can maybe teach you how he did it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool. So, guys, yeah, thank you. That's it from me. Any final words from you, Capitan Peru? I mean, I'm very grateful you did this. I
Just
learned so much.
just one last advice: research for yourself. Don't believe everything you hear, especially from mass media. And as I always say, when the system wants us to, to be ignorant, there's no greater revolution than to study.
Then to study.
Than to study. Yes.
Excellent.
When
Yeah,
the system
yeah.
wants us ignorant, there's no more greater revolution than studying.
All right. Yeah. No, exactly. So, guys, do your homework. Homework is important. It's work, but it's important. Our aim is to get to the facts, and from the facts, we can find the truth. So, this, yeah, the the word truths can sometimes be very fuzzy, but the facts are the facts. So let's find the facts. Let the facts lead us to the truth. And yeah, and that's it from me. So yeah, thank you, Rafael, for your time.
Thank
So guys,
you.
Rafael Aita, long bio in the description. All of his links. Please go to his channel, sign up, buy his books, and read his articles and watch his videos. So thank you guys. And if you do like this, please like, share, subscribe, let your friends know. And thank you again for the support. I really do appreciate it. And I will be back with you guys soon. Have a wonderful night. God bless. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.